What's up, Buffalo Bill fans? Very, very weird time, but I find appropriate time to do a video, being that I haven't done one, um, not even a draft video. And that's for a lot of reasons. I mean, I love football. I do. A big part of me does. And I love the Bills. But I don't put it anymore as much as I used to in such a, you know, I don't let it kill me like I used to let it kill me. Like you guys remember the '08 season videos I did when they collapsed, much like they're exactly like they're doing now. It it rendered me depressed for weeks, months, and that is just not something I can let something that is supposed to be entertainment and something that's supposed to be enjoyable do. I mean, to be honest, the last few weeks have been just and I've watched the games pretty much all the way through, but they haven't been fun to watch. And but at the end of the day, I have to like look around at things I have in my life and people I have in my life, and be like, you know what, I'm doing okay. And I'm sure the players, they go back to their rich, you know, lifestyles and things, and I don't know if they feel the pain as much as they I can't say that they do or don't as much as the fans do. A lot of the fans have lived and you know cried and mostly cried with this team for so long. But it's frustrating. And I'm telling you right now, I'm very very frustrated. Frustrated because I thought they had sort of turned a corner, beaten New England, and coming back like they've done in games, and we can go back and we can rehash these games and say, well, a play here, a play there, they're two and whatever, or a play here and a play there, and they're seven and whatever. But these last 3 weeks have left no doubt that if you come out and just punch them in the mouth, they'll lay down, and that is really really disheartening, and it's sickening to see that if you just come out and just basically we're just gonna be more physical than you, we're gonna manhandle you, and we're gonna dictate how this game is played. I mean, I think it's a real issue when you have week after week the offense just cannot get anything started to start the game. I mean, settling for field goals. I mean, I think that swung the momentum of the game where you have Stevie Johnson, who's wide open on a slant. The guy's playing hurt, took a lot of big hits in the game. He's wide open. All you got to do is put the ball on him. He probably walks into the end zone, fits as he did on a couple of plays, just totally overthrew him. The ball was just a clear foot above his head, and for me, once you start losing, obviously it starts, you know, perpetuating issues, injuries and stuff. And I don't want to hear that excuse because every football team in the NFL has injuries. Every team, maybe some a little bit more than others, but every team suffers injuries, and every team suffers injuries to key players. But don't tell me that Kyle Williams, who was on this defense for the last 2, 3 years when this defense was equally as bad in terms of run defense, is making a difference now. Don't tell me that a one-legged gets hurt blowing his nose Sean Merriman is making a difference on this defense, because he's not. He didn't even make it out of the first game in Kansas City. He hurt his shoulder, and that was I didn't see or hear much of him for the next few weeks he played, and he was put on IR. And this is the guy that was supposed to jumpstart the pass rush. You have, and now you have. It's like Jaron in reverse. You have defensive tackles, guys that were brought here to be defensive tackles playing outside linebacker. You have, you know, it's just like you have guys on this team who are just like, why did you draft this guy? And trust me, I'm sure the name that's ringing in everybody's ears, again, when you start losing games, these things, you start talking about them. When you're winning, you really don't talk about them. CJ Spiller again. The what the hell was this guy drafted for? Where he was at, and if you've watched any of my videos and you can go back, I can't think of which one. I can't think of, and I know I've mentioned this, and I don't know, at some point like in '05 or '06, I was just looking at some things and some papers. I was like, you don't need to draft running backs in the first round. Like, I'm looking at most of the best running backs in the league. They're mid-round picks, guys that were drafted in the seventh round, undrafted guys. In some cases, I mean, Fred Jackson. Phew, there you go, Fred Jackson. I mean, you look at some of the backs in New England, Woodhead, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, undrafted. Sean Green and for the Jets is a third round pick. Uh, Arian Foster with the Texans. The list is replete. Granted, there are some first round guys that panned out, but these were guys that were just mind boggling talents, like Adrian Peterson and even Darren McFadden, who's been hurt a lot, but when he's healthy, the guy is amazing. Spiller, he's not even Reggie Bush. He wanted, Gailey wanted this guy who was a change of pace back, a speed back, a scat back, whatever you want, whatever style. This guy is just, that goal line play today summed him up for me. Granted, you're down in the game, it's late, but the way he just got, I mean, the hole was there. All he's got to do is walk in the end zone, put your shoulder down. He just got leveled. He shows a little bit of effort on the punt return, but still, like, he does nothing for them. The guy can't even take a handoff. And that just leads me to talk about this whole offense, this whole spread offense that, it's cute. It'll put up some points here and there. It'll catch certain teams that they can match up well against, and they can run with them a little bit. But when they play a physical team that wants to jam these receivers and get after Fitz, it's ugly, and have the capability of getting after Fitz. Like, look at all their losses. Just like when they played the Bengals, they got after Fitz, they sacked him, they made him uncomfortable. Giants, the same thing. And here we go. It's like, what film do you watch? You're the team. You have access to this. I can watch the games, but I do have NFL Rewind. But I don't need that. What has Fitz shown in his NFL career? He's a bus driver. He's a bus driver quarterback. You got to let him hand the ball off, pedestrian-like. He can make some simple throws, and then maybe you can open up the play action. They've got him in the shotgun spread, and what has he shown? The more time you put the ball in his hands, the more chances you give him. Did it in Cincinnati. He did it in Buffalo under the Giron / Fuel tenure there, and he's done it the last few years. He starts to turn the ball over. If it doesn't happen fast, it'll gradually happen. He will start turning the football over. Whether if he gets hit and he just fumbles, or he just throws some very erratic throws. And there have been some passes in the last few weeks that I will say went off some receivers' hands. I think there was a couple of them today, and one definitely in the Dallas game. It was right off Donald Jones's hands. But then, again, the personnel is just, you look at the 10 draft, the Knicks draft, and it's just like Maben all over again. Like, this is Aaron Maben just in a different player, but that's the whole draft. You look at that whole draft, it's Spiller. What has he done? Torrell Troop. I mean, you could interchange him with Kellen Hurd, who wasn't even drafted, and you wouldn't know who's in there. And I don't see him do a damn thing. This guy was a second round pick. This is a guy that should be doing something. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't already know. Carrington, Who was the fourth? Easily hadn't played it down for the Bills. Been hurt. But the sad part is you could say that. Who was the fifth round pick? I think it was Wang. The guy who made the most impact in that whole draft was Moats. And that's mostly stems from the Favre sack. Batten. Who else? I mean, take your pick of who are these guys? What did they do? Take away the Moats sack. I mean, you wouldn't know any of those guys played it down for the Bills. You seriously wouldn't. Not a down. You wouldn't know one of those guys played it down if they, because there's no difference makers. Now, the 11 draft, we don't really know about that yet. I mean, Darius, we can't call him a bust yet. I mean, the guy's been put in a bad situation, forced to change positions. It's tough. So again, Bills fans, it's really, really frustrating. And leave your questions and comments, and I'll try to reply. Until then, you guys have a good one. Take care. I can't say I feel too great right now, but it's just like another season where you're given a little bit of hope, and are just kind of like, well, nah, we're just gonna tank on you. And they just look like the last few weeks they've really tanked. Especially in this whole era of Twitter, they're on there saying all those things that they used to say. That I'm tired of hearing I have to watch the film, make the corrections, we'll bounce back next week. You're running out of next weeks. They really are, and it's just like. Just you do it. You either do it or you don't do it. The good teams do it. Or they find a way to do it. And that's frustrating. You see it in Washington today. You're hurt. You're banged up, and it's like they go in and put up on a representative performance against Dallas. Bills, Denver with a option offense. They go out. They punch the Jets in the mouth and win. And the Bills just kind of they get punched in the mouth and they just kind of fold. I don't know what else to say. It just really sucks. Anyway, Bills fans, have a good one. Take care.